Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to a VO's journey. It is Friday. This show is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artists grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things that I seem to step on. Hi, it's good to have you and it's good to be here. I'm excited. Today is the 3rd and Friday is Fiverr Friday. This is going to be episode number 2. And basically on Fiverr Friday, this is where a top-rated seller, comes on and answers your questions that you have about Fiverr, whether it is how to, work on your video, questions about working with customers, about the platform, about getting business, all that kind of stuff. Whatever your question is, I am here to answer it today about Fiverr. So there is a small lag time between the moments that you post something and the moments that I see it. So I think that's like a 20, 30 second lag between when you post something and I see it. So I will definitely make sure that I am being aware of that, and also for you to be aware of that as well. So I want to welcome everybody. We have Brian, we've got Lilycoat Media on Instagram. It's good to have you guys. We've got Big Jim, Michael B on YouTube, Greg, what's up? Hilton Productions, what's up on YouTube? Jeremy, what's up on YouTube? I am the VO guy on YouTube. It's good to have you. Rich is on Fiverr. And what did you say? Hi, Anthony. Help me sidestep into Fiverr sales. Absolutely. Laura Lee is on Facebook. It's good to have you all. Thank you for joining me. I'm with it being the 3rd. Hopefully, your year is getting off to a great start. And if it's a little slow, that's okay too. We're only 3 days in. I do know that January is always one of those months where it's like, oh, it's kind of like, we dread the month a little bit because, we've probably spent way too much money over Christmas. Hey, EP Ventura on Instagram, good to have you. We've got Colonel Mooney. I think I don't know if it's Call or Colonel, but it's the COL. So it's good to have you on Facebook. Tom Johnson from Facebook, John Clark from Facebook. Good to have you guys. And, it is, what up, man? It is kind of one of those things where, you feel like, oh gosh, I really need to make money in January. I hope that it comes. So, of course, hopefully you have prepared for that before, but anyways, let's go ahead and kick this off. See who has the first question. All right, let's see here. Paul Orr from YouTube. What's up, my man, Paul? He's a mover and a shaker, no doubt. Paul says, since the discussion on searching incognito and knowing how buyers are finding you in the elite group on Saturday, I've been trying different searches. The weird thing is page 2. So I'm not sure what you mean, Paul. Let me go down here. When I search for American Male voiceover, I don't seem to come up at all. When I search for American Male dramatic, I come up with Fiverr's choice designation. Yeah, definitely. So, when you are doing searches on Fiverr, just be aware too that Fiverr is going to be moving people around as also, like, there, for perfect example, I'm a top-rated seller. I'm on the first page when it comes to best selling and everything like that. I mean, I'm there, and you can find me a lot of different places. But then if you hit the recommended button, I'm on like page 2 or 3. This makes sometimes that doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay. But it should also, though, give you some excitement, because what they do is that they promote you and find ways to get all of us up in the rankings in different searches and so forth. So that's why it's important that you really deck out your profiles, everything on your gigs, so that you have multiple ways that, Fiverr can, the algorithm can crawl your gig and get you up on the search engine within that platform. Okay. All right. So let's see. Tanya says, Happy New Year. What's up? From Facebook, John says, Fiverr isn't just for voiceover, is it? Sorry for the stupid question. John, that is not a stupid question at all. In fact, I think Fiverr is a gold mine of services. I mean, if you have any skills other than voiceover, which all of us do, Fiverr is a wonderful place to experiment with that. I love doing multiple things on Fiverr. You know, I mean, and it can be still tailored towards voiceover or music or something, but it doesn't have to be that way. You know, I think one of the highest paid people on Fiverr was a woman who did resumes for people. You know, she'd write resumes for people, and I mean, she was making over $1 million a year on Fiverr doing that. I mean, it's insane, right? And I mean, logo design is by far the number one. Did you know voiceover? Fiverr posted this thing a while back, maybe last month in December, about showing the growth. It was amazing. You know those charts where they're like running tabs? They start like 5, 10, 15, or even 20 or 30 years back, and then they go each year and they show like, the running tabs of them growing, and like they usually do it for businesses, like on market share, and they kind of go forward, or they do it for music artists like most sold. Well, anyways, they were doing it for the different categories in Fiverr, and voiceover is never at the top. In fact, voiceover is usually around like 7 or 8, somewhere down the line. Logo design is by far the largest one out of all of this year. It's the largest, or the last couple of years, it's the largest selling section for Fiverr. So of course, we could tell why Fiverr pushes logo design so much. But there's the digital services is huge up there, right? Because we all need the digital services. So I love the idea of understanding that. I mean, I love voiceover. We all are here because we love voiceover. But at the same time, as I always say, we're running a business. And if you can add certain streams of revenue onto your business, all right, and scale that gives you more money to continue to grow your voiceover business. All right. So anyways, I love that. Absolutely. Good thing, man. Good thing, John. Let's see. Paul, we talked about that. John says, money talks. Mine keeps saying goodbye. All right, let's see. Over on Instagram, EP Ventura says, what are some methods for passive VO income? That's great, man. Well, the first thing, EP Ventura, the first thing that I have to say for passive VO income, by far, hands down, is royalties on audiobooks. That's how I started. Just before I came on here, I sold almost 600 audiobooks last month in December. Almost there's like 581 audiobooks. I have not done a thing in 2 years for royalty share audiobooks. All right. And the things that I did 2 years ago are making me money. So with almost 600 audiobooks, that should bring me in a check about $500. I mean, that is pure passive income because I'm not doing a thing. Amazon is selling all that in the books and so forth, right? So that is a great way to do passive income. When I first started, my whole goal was just to that's why I dove into audiobooks on ACX so much, and the audiobooks for royalties, because everyone else was saying, oh, don't do royalty books, don't do royalty share. But for me, I was like, man, it sounds wonderful to just be sitting, at home, watching TV with the family, having dinner, and knowing books are being sold and I'm making money. That's like amazing, right? So that is a great way to do it as well. I found that I could also do other ways to do, passive income as well. Like, for example, many of you do different types of voiceovers for people who are utilizing them. Videos, right? Videos on YouTube channels. Also, another thing is courses online. Now, you might not want to make a course, but I'm talking about things like if you were to do something like, create digital products around some type of voiceover that you do for other people. it is a way for you to generate income that is not based upon you. But I have to tell you, hands down, by far, to me, the passive income at its core for VO has to be royalties, I feel, for audiobooks. I mean, that's one of the best ways. Other people might have some other ways, but I can just tell you from personal experience. I love it. Let's see. Paul says, but that is the only place I see that Fiverr's choice designation. Paul, just note that sometimes there's a residual because it's happened to me. Don't pay attention to that. The Fiverr thing, sometimes they leave it on there and it's not actually being boosted. So don't sweat that. You were definitely a Fiverr's choice at one point, but that doesn't mean that it's there now. It could be just left over, and it might still be on there, which is great, but they might not be boosting it. So don't sweat that. Let's see. Dwight says, thank you, Anthony, for the inspiration and wisdom, learning and grinding. Awesome, Dwight. Thank you, man. All right, Laura Lee. Let's say I just printed out my year and CRV statement from Fiverr. It appears to be double than what I show I made. What are your thoughts about these forms, and should I use this for my taxes or my own records? Any input is appreciated. So you have to understand, right, that Fiverr takes 20%. All right. Now, I'm not sure if that's what you're saying or you weren't aware that you had made that much money. I'm not quite sure, Laura Lee, but it is super important that you use those for taxes. Absolutely. But it's also imperative that you understand, right, that Fiverr is going to post that you made all of that money. And then you have to make sure that you also deduct that 20% that Fiverr took for a cost of goods, all right? Or that's what it cost you. That is the price of doing work on Fiverr, is 20% of the business, right? So that's something that is imperative, and you need to make sure that you figure that out depending on the forms that you printed out, whether, it's showing that, because I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. Like, if you didn't realize you made that much money, or it was just showing all the money you made, not the 20% they took out as well, okay? All right, but absolutely you have to use it for taxes. Absolutely. Especially when you start making, like six figures, and forget six figures. When you start making five figures, you need to be using it for taxes, okay? And not just taxes, but to, stay up and track what you're doing. It's so important. Okay, good question, Laura Lee. Good question. Richard says, "What's up? What's up, man?" Paul says, Would you say twice per month is the optimum number of taking a Learn.Fiverr course? Have you thought about what happens once you have taken all the courses?" So, Paul, yes, I have. And Fiverr has 2. That is why they are constantly coming out with new ones. Okay. But if you go on, it's very interesting. If you go on to the Learn, Fiverr.Learn or the Learn courses, you'll notice that the reviews and such. Now, of course, as we know, more people take it than reviews. But do you think about how many people are on Fiverr, and there's very few reviews for a lot of the courses, which is telling you that not a lot of people are taking them and utilizing it, which again prompts Fiverr to continue trying to get people to take them and boost your gig. I personally at least take 1 course a month, and I may take 2. But I always generally take 1. And like I said, 2 if for some reason it's a slow month. But I haven't had to do that in a long time. I just generally take 1 as a rule of thumb. I like it too to learn. It's great learning courses as well. All right, but and you get to keep them. So there's some great social media stuff. There's some great marketing things and sales, and there's great things about SEO. By the way, it's another great way to learn a new skill that you can start putting up a gig on Fiverr for. So I mean, it's a really good thing to do. So Paul, I'd say at least 1, and 2 if you're gonna do 2, spread them out. Like the 1st and the 15th. Okay. Joseph, what's up? Jonathan says, I added music, backtrack, made extra $10. Nice. Good deal. Simone says, Happy New Year, Anthony. What is your method of choosing an audiobook? Well, this is definitely, this is Fiverr Friday question and answer. And so the audiobook thing, I actually have a course I built to show you exactly how I do my choose audiobooks on ACX, because Uh, I choose them a certain way when I go into it. Like I said, I don't do much anymore, but I came up with a method of choosing audiobooks that at least made me feel a lot more confident about finding books that were actually going to make me money as royalty share books. Because the issue I find with a lot of people is they go into audiobooks into the royalty share, like, EP Ventura was saying about trying to get passive income, and they get a book that's like 10 hours long, and that is 4 millionth in the sales rank. And I mean, that's, oh God, I cringe at thinking about how much time and effort you're going to put into that audiobook and make a couple of bucks max. That is like absolutely not what I want to do, right? So my methods I came up with was searching for smaller books, shorter books, 3 hours or under, right? Preferably under an hour, right? That also had a very good sales rank. All right. And this was a lot more books like self-help books and things like that. And, I would have a search based on those criteria. And the thing is that I did it for business purposes, right? I did it to create revenue and generate income. I did not do it in order to, become a super famous audiobook narrator. Because if you want to narrate a certain type of audiobook, okay, it does matter what your portfolio goes under. However, the wonderful thing about audiobooks is that you can use pseudonyms. So, if you are doing smaller books and you also want to do larger big name books someday, don't be afraid to do books under pseudonym. You would be shocked. And if you get into the audiobook industry and you really start listening to people and you get a good ear, you would be shocked about how many audiobook narrators who are very famous, popular audiobook narrators do so many books that you would think they would never do. They're just under a pseudonym, but you could tell it's them, right? You could tell that's them, but they're just under a pseudonym and it's another name. So they don't have to, live and die by that reputation, if you will. Okay, so that's another way, because there are, I've caught in flack from people randomly who just say, oh, you should never do short books. But I totally disagree. But if you have, if you're trying to, limit your liability, if you will, use a pseudonym. It's super simple. ACX actually even allows you to do it. At the end when you submit a book, they're like, who do you want to say is the audiobook narrator? And then you type in the name you want to type in. Just make sure you put that in the opening and closing credits. When you're doing work on Fiverr for audiobooks, a lot of times it's a buyout. Some people might contact you to do royalty share, but in which case you have to go on ACX and do it that way. Like you have to go through ACX as the producer in order to get your name on it. Does that make sense? So usually most of the stuff through Fiverr does book. I have to be honest with you. It has been maybe last month. It's been months since I've done. I have like one audiobook on Fiverr for the last 3 to 4 months. Most of my work now is all commercial work. But when I first started out, about 6 to 8 months in, I started getting more audiobook work. And for a while, I got a lot of audiobook work. But then I stopped pushing the audiobook work because I started getting more commercial work, and then the commercial work started flooding in. And what I found is the time, because Fiverr was bringing me business, I found a lot more work coming to me through commercial work on Fiverr than I was getting on audiobook work. I mean, like the time, right? Because but again, passive income, royalty share books, I mean, it's a great life. I mean, imagine if every book you did under an hour or under 2 hours, right? You generate, I mean, just imagine it, right? Let's say you generate $50 a year. And that's even, that's ridiculous. Let's say you generate $100 a year per book you do, if you choose it right, which should be, that means you sold 100 books an entire year for one book. So if you did 100, right, do the math, 100 times 100, what is that, right? 10,000, is that right? Yeah, 10,000. So you made $10,000 a year by doing 100, but you continue to make that money, and then you do another 100, that's 20,000. Another, I mean, like, and they're not hard books to do 1 or 2 of them a week because they're so short. And the books just keep coming. So we're getting off. We're talking about ACX and not Fiverr, but that is definitely something that, if you want to go down that path and you just want to live your life, not get into all this other stuff and do that. I mean, it's a viable way. All right. I did it, but I wanted to do other things. So, all right. Anyways, let's see. Samantha says, hi, newbie here from the UK. Hi, Samantha. Good to have you. I know it's later in the day there in the UK, or earlier. Well, is it earlier in the UK? I think it's earlier. So, right? It's early in the UK. Gary, let's see. Hey, Anthony, it looks like a seller has to be either a bestseller, recommended, or the newest arrival to show up in a search, since those are the only options in the tab in the right side of the page. So, Gary, I'm going to assume, I know that's formed as a statement, but I'm assuming you mean it as a question as well. So, remember, there are, and this is what I completely recommend, and hear me, please hear me. Right now, you are not going to get the searches on Fiverr that I get. Okay, clearly you're not. However, I had to build up my business on Fiverr to get where I am, and so can you. And this is how you did it, because this is how I did it. I continuously looked for places that were underrepresented, and I put up gig after gig after gig, trying to get more reviews. The more reviews you get, and we're talking about Fiverr. The more reviews you get, all right, the more customers become repeat customers to you, the higher in the rankings you will go, because of your average sales price. That's important for rankings, as well as your reviews. Okay, and of course, there's a myriad of other things like your response time, your cancellation rate, all those kind of things. But the average selling price is huge, coupled with how many gigs or how many jobs you're doing. But you got to find your way in when you start, because you're right, you're not going to get seen at the top when you were just starting out, after you get past that new arrival phase. So, you got to find your way in, whether it's through audiobooks, whether it's through all the new stuff Fiverr's putting out. If you haven't gone through Fiverr and just spent hours on there just looking around, you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're leaving places where you could make money on the table. And even in the audio industry, there's so many things: podcast intros and outros, editing stuff. I mean, there's things that we do all the time for other people, right, that find us on one gig, like our main gig. Well, start putting up different gigs. If you are a new seller, right, you get 7 gigs. If you are level 1, you get 10 gigs. If you are level 2, you get 20 gigs. If you're a top rated seller, you get 30 gigs. Fiverr would not have given you that unless they didn't want you to use them. Okay, so make sure you use them. Now, if you are in different phases of your business, I'd give you different advice about how many gigs to use. But if you are just starting out, you got to use them all. You got to find, like, because for example, if one of your gigs, if you have one gig up and you're getting 500, impressions a month, right? 30 days. Well, if you put up 7, that means you went from 500 impressions to 3,500. There's a huge difference, and you have a lot more opportunity to get in front of people, right? Okay, so keep pumping them out, keep putting up gigs, keep trying. That's the key to get in to the places that are underrepresented. That's exactly what I did. All right. Let's see. B-Dog at 45. Other than Facebook ads and email and phone marketing, what are some more ways we can market our Fiverr gig? Hope you're having a great Friday. Thanks, man. I am having a great Friday. So first and foremost, I would highly discourage you to pay for Facebook ads on Fiverr. For Fiverr. The reason being is because Fiverr is already charging us 20%. So to pay for ads to send people to Fiverr, and then Fiverr's charging us 20% to market for us, I mean, that's just, you're losing extra money. So if you're going to use Facebook ads, I would really think about sending that to a different place, like your website, or a place where you can get an email, like an email address, so you can start an email list right? So then you can start customers or a client list, depending again on what, remember we talked about the other day about marketing and advertising and branding, and we talked about sales and pricing and how all those go together and what you want to do with ads, what the purpose of them for, and it's important. So that's just my personal opinion. Now, email marketing, that's fine. Phone market, that's great. All right. But to me, and I know this is tough, and I know you guys have heard this a million times, and if you haven't, I'm going to say it again. You have got to utilize the vast network of social media. If you know what, if you were to stop for a second and not think of social media as a place like we currently think about it, and more of as a directory. Let's look at it this way. Think of social media as a directory. Think of it as the ultimate directory. You can go on to Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, Facebook. I mean, the number one place I like the most is Twitter and Instagram for this, as well as LinkedIn is fantastic. Facebook as well. I mean, these are great. But think about it. You can go on there and search exactly for the businesses you want to target. You just type in their name, audio production companies, video production companies. All right. You can even type in, voiceover auditions, and then what you could do is you can find these companies, right? Start diving in, finding these companies, start putting them on a list. You can create Twitter lists where you can actually have potential clients and follow them and comment to them, get to know them, start messaging them. Because the cool thing about these directories, these social media directories, I'm going to call them from now on, is that they're businesses. So they're going to give you their website. They're going to give you their email address. They're going to give you everything you need to find them, to talk to them, to contact them. It is by far the single most incredible way for us to find businesses. The only other way for us to really dive in and compete against these sites that are spending money is for us to spend $100 to $150K a year on SEO and getting up in the search engines for Google. The rest of it is doing this. All right, is using these social media directories. Again, I'm calling them directories because I wanted to get that into your mind instead of thinking about, oh my gosh, I just have to post content and I don't know what to post. All right. I mean, if that is what's killing you, stop thinking so much about that and start thinking about, well, I could just go on to these places and look for businesses. And then once I find them, I can start messaging them and targeting them. It's a new way of marketing as well. It's called Flip the Funnel. Inc. Magazine, and I talked about this a while ago, very little though, but Inc. Magazine published back in 2017, 2018, this new way of B2B marketing, right? And it was called Flip the Funnel. Because if you know what a funnel is, right, it's this shape like this, and you throw a whole bunch of businesses or whatever potential clients in at the top, and they go through this funnel to where the ones that come out the bottom after they go through a process that you create are like the clients, that buy from you, right? But they were talking about flipping the funnel, meaning that you actually start by finding the exact businesses that you want to work with, right? Well, let's say you go out and find 100 businesses that you want to work with, and you put them and you put them on your list, and now all the social media sites, your email marketing, your phone calls, everything is geared towards those 100 businesses. Getting to know them, getting them to know you, like by posting comment, replying on their posts, retweeting their posts, liking what they're doing, following their pages, you know what I mean? Sending them emails once a month, putting them on an email list, like things like that. That's called Flip the Funnel. That's another marketing tool that you can use, but you've got to use the power of social media. Have to use it, okay? I kind of went off on that one. I apologize. Hopefully that helped, Gary. Or B-Dog 45, sorry. Laura Lee, do you find that most of the courses take 3 to 6 hours? The last one I took was 7 hours. Oh, you took a 7-hour one. I do. I try to find the ones, I'll be honest, I try to find the ones that are under $40, under $30, and that are under 2 hours. I try to find the ones. Some are very long, and I try to stay away from those. I'm sorry. I bet it was great, but yeah, I bet it was so long. Woo. All right. I bet. Jeremy, Anthony's ACX course is a great resource for anyone interested in doing audiobooks. Thanks, Jeremy. I really appreciate that, man. Steve, the face made for voiceover is here. The face made for voiceover is here. I don't know. All right. Let's see. DJ, what's up, DJ? Over at Instagram. Truth, I post a demo every day on all my social platforms. It gives you exposure to everyone. Yes. And by the way, again, Fiverr Friday, we're talking about Fiverr. I know for a fact, because I do a lot of data collection. That's another thing that I do. I try to collect as much data from customers, like, why did you purchase from me? And I'll be real open with you. Many of them say they found me through social media. They saw me in the videos. I have many people who found me through my podcast and all these different methods, and then they knew that I was on Fiverr, so they went to Fiverr and they're working with me. I have no problem with that. Let's see. Mooney says, do you find different regions of the world are most difficult to deal with in regard to commercial rights? So there is one place where I can't remember what country it is, but I had this one guy, and I mean, very nice order, but he would just swear up and down that in his country you do not need commercial and broadcast rights, so he did not have to pay me. And in some places around the world that there's different laws, okay, but for the most part, I find that depending on what clientele you're attracting and the requirements that you have and the expectations you set, it matters. But with that being said, I'm not going to blow sunshine up your backside and tell you Fiverr is like a place where you got to earn your kind of keep there, right? Because all of us are doing it or have done it, meaning that, I had to do the hundreds and hundreds of $5 jobs. And, a lot of people tell you, oh, that sucks and that sucks. But I can tell you now, I'm so glad I did, because it's led me to here now to where Fiverr just brings me work every single day and I love it. So that's just one guy's take on it. Samantha says 6:20 p.m. Gotcha. That's right, because it's right. It's going backwards, and like west, it's going earlier. Let's see. Florian, what's up? Florian says, would you take a 2,000 word gig for $5 just for the review if you're just starting out? Florian, that's excessive. You know what? I honestly, if I just was starting out, I don't know. That's a lot of words for $5. There's better out there on Fiverr, I promise you. Now, I always did say this, though, because I remember when I was just starting out and I was doing work and a lot of people were saying, oh, you shouldn't do that much for, that cheap. I did at one point realize, though, if you're not working, like if you're not doing anything or earning any money, what does it hurt for you to do a voiceover, get experience, and make some money? With that being said, and it could be again, and I think this is the problem why a lot of people have an issue with Fiverr up front, who have been in the industry for a long time, because they don't want to go back to a time in their life where they had to like grind it out, right? Because they've been through all that grind and they don't want to grind it out again. And I totally understand that. But with all that being said, Florian, 2,000 words is a lot for $5. I mean, that's a lot. So it's totally up to you. But it's a lot. That's a lot of words for a very small amount. So, I would see if they would pay you more. I mean, definitely that. But again, if you're doing absolutely nothing, I don't know. That's hard for me to endorse that because that's a lot for a little. So, let's see. Mooney, follow-up question. Do you adjust the commercial rights, full broadcast rights for developing countries like India, Pakistan, etc.? Absolutely not. I'm straight across the board. I have found that it's the easiest for me to just be across the board the same for everybody. That way there is no difference, and I know it's different when it comes to the money exchange, et cetera, but I have found, because it's come to bite me in the backside, where people have actually come to me and said, oh, your price is this over here and you're charging me this, and what's the deal? So I just said, that's it. I'm going to charge the same price everywhere to everyone. Doesn't matter who they are. Okay. But again, that's me where I am in my business now. You might have a different take on that, and that might work. My suggestion is that don't worry about that a lot unless it's like coming up in your business constantly. right? I mean, I wouldn't stress about that too much. I've not had an issue with it that people have said something to me. They just might not have bought from me. So that's something too. Let's see. Sorry to sound ignorant, but what do you mean by impressions? John Clark. So impressions are the times that your gig shows up on a screen, up on like in a search, but doesn't necessarily mean that they have stopped and viewed your gig. It just means like you've come up on the page that the person has, pulled up on Fiverr, right? You're on that page that they're on. All right. A view, all right, and a click is just what it means. It means like they've viewed your gig, they've looked at it, all right, they've scrolled over it, and the click is they've clicked on it, and it goes into your actual gig. Okay, so that's what the difference is there. But clearly, the more impressions you have, right, the more opportunities you're getting in front of people. So that's and in our day and age, attention, impressions really is everything. Because without that, you're just not going to get in front of people. You've got to get in front of people. LinkedIn, I don't know if you watch LinkedIn training sessions at all, but they do training sessions. And they had a really interesting training session about marketing, about how they're starting to believe that, in the world we live in today, we do all this measuring on social media or with marketing about, interaction and all of these things like that. But in the end, so few people are putting enough emphasis on just getting in front of people, just getting enough impressions, right? Just getting in front of people, period. Whether they interact with you or not, just the reach is so important. No, it was a very interesting video. It's dry content, but it's very good if you could sit through the content. It's called LinkedIn like marketing and stuff. And anyways, it's free. They post videos. Let's see. Steve says, hard question. I would think since I joined the Fiverr group, what is the difference in your Fiverr special you are offering for $97? I really want to get this Fiverr thing doing $500 a month quickly. Absolutely. So what Steve's referring to is, I have a Fiverr course that I built that I wanted to help people who are just starting out learn how to start from the beginning with their gig. And I go through each step of setting up from each part of your gig, from the very first beginning to, your title, to the categories you're supposed to put in there, to your gender, to, this is really important. The actual 3 different categories that you sign up for is paramount. I talk about that. Your accents, your keywords, how that all mixes together. Then I go through each and every particular part. Then I give you a couple of different examples. I go through the app on the phone, and I actually have recorded myself working through the app and show you that, as well as give you some other tips and tricks that I've learned on Fiverr. So it's another really great, that course is really great if you want to dive in and build out like the perfect gig, in my opinion. Okay. My Fiverr Elite course, which I'm glad, or group that I'm glad you brought that up. We meet every Saturday. There'll be a link that you can join if you'd like to in the description here, or you can go to www.avosjourney.com. It's avosjourney.com. And in that group, we meet every Saturday. And the point for that group is to help you at where you are right now, grow your business. I help review people's gigs. I answer questions. I give short lessons. It is about what's happening now. My course is like a base course that helps you to build a gig, which I can't spend in the Fiverr Elite group on a singular person. You know what I mean? Like that much time, because I think it's like there's like 10 videos in that course that I built out, multiple hours to help you with that. So those are the differences. Great. Thank you for bringing that up. And I'd love for you to join. We have 44 people in the Fiverr Elite group right now. It's wonderful. Really loving it. Zach says, no questions, just checking in. What's up, man? Yes, I had a UAE client that insisted no commercial rights were necessary. Yeah. And then that's up to you what you want to do about it. Todd says, hey, Anthony, you rock. Anthony Pica, helping voice artists focus their business in 2020. Thanks for all you do. Thanks, Todd, man. Simone, don't forget the add-ons. Anthony's Fiverr course was awesome. I went through it twice for good measure. Thank you, Simone. I appreciate it. The add-ons, man, they are they are, listen, I charge $20. I charge $20 for 150 words. But my average selling price is well over $70. So what does that tell you, right? For 150 words, that tells you that I am selling a lot of add-ons. Okay? Now, I'm not ashamed of what I do. I make a great living from Fiverr, and I'm very happy about it. And the add-ons really help you. However, when I first started out, I wasn't doing that. My average selling price was a lot lower. Don't be too hard on yourself, okay? You got to build up to it. Maestro Wilson. Hey, Anthony, Happy New Year. What's up? John Clark says, makes sense. Mooney says, highly recommend Anthony's Fiverr course. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. It will save you months. Cheers, Colin. Thanks. Oh, Colin. Sorry, Colin. Now I know it's Colin. All right, you guys. Well, hey, thank you so much. If you have any more questions, real quick, post them in. I know that, like I said, there's like a 20-second or 30-second delay, but I think we've been doing this now for 40 minutes. Thank you so much for being a part of Fiverr Friday. This seems to be growing really fast, and episode 1 was really amazing. It's already gotten a bunch of different views, more than most of the videos I post on a daily basis. So if you get a chance to subscribe, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, share. If you're on Twitter, retweet this. Oh, I've gone. So something is interesting about my camera. Sometimes when I move around a bunch, it gets all blurry. So hopefully it wasn't too blurry long, because I try not to watch myself. I try to just watch the camera. But anyways, I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. And what I was saying was, yes, retweet, do all that, share, and check back if you want to get into the Fiverr Elite group, or you can find it again at www.avosjourney.com. All right, let's see. Is there any other questions on Instagram or YouTube or Twitter or Facebook? Let's see. It seems to me that ACX is a good starting point for beginners, then move up to Fiverr. I say do both. Because they're both free. Do you know what I mean? I say you do both, but ACX is fantastic. ACX is where I started, and I did start on Fiverr too, but I got way more traction on ACX to begin with. And it wasn't until I got better understanding at Fiverr that I got more business on Fiverr. But yeah, absolutely. Paul says, the Elite group is awesome. Thanks, man. So glad I joined. Anthony, could you give us a few courses that are cheap and short? Okay, cool. I'm glad that you brought that up, Paul, because right now I'm putting out, I have a new course that I just put out last month, which is tones. So one of the biggest things that I've noticed in my business is that we as voice actors, we're expected to be able to do a variety of different types of tones, right, in our voice, and that can really determine how much we get hired. So there are 6 specific tones that I really like, and I got these tones from articles that Voquent, all right, Voquent.com, which is another site that you can go and put yourself on and get business. Miles Chacoin is the CEO there. Is amazing. I was just on the phone with him yesterday. He's in the UK, and I love that place, that site. And they posted this search results that they had done, of all these different work or search results of the highest search tones, and there was these 6 tones, and I'm doing a course on each one of them, and I think each one of them they're under $40, like $30 or something like that, and each one of them, and they're like an hour or so long, so they're not too long, and they're not expensive, but I go over each tone. So right now, authoritative tone is one which you can use for like e-learning and audiobooks, nonfiction audiobooks, etc. And I also have practice scripts that you have that I give you a whole bunch of different practice scripts. I give you warm-ups, all things that you can use and work on and learn to use that particular tone. The next one I'm going to be putting out this month is how to do a conversational tone, because that's probably one of the ones I get hired for the most personally. That one and inspiring. I get inspiring a lot. Conversational, inspiring, almost in a mix is what I get a lot, and nurturing as well. So we go over those. But anyways, let's see. That's a good question. And yes, you can find that on the website. Paul, you're like I gotta keep you around, Paul. You're like advertising. You're like, Anthony, tell us about this course. I appreciate it, Paul. Turn it to an advertising show. Let's see. So Happy New Year. Thanks for the ideas. You bet, Samantha. I am the VO guy. Got a lot here. God bless. Thank you. Greg, what time on Saturdays do you meet? 10 a.m. Eastern. However, if you can't make, one or so or two, everything is replay for the life of your membership. And they're all posted there. Right now, we actually have over 30 hours and stuff because of previous content that was posted on trainings for mastermind groups that is in there. So you actually join, it's only $47 a month, and you join and you get access to all of that. So it's actually like an insane value. Anyway, Samantha Polly says, blessed New Year. Thank you. Thanks, Anthony. You have given me food for thought. Awesome. Learn Fiverr courses that are short. What was that website again? VO Clink. You mean Voquent, Samantha? Voquent. So it's www.voquent.com. Voquent. Like VO, yeah, Voquent. Okay. What about people who are not that tech savvy? What would they need to do? Please, what would they... Ty. Not sure what you mean, like people who are not tech savvy, what do they need to do? You need to get tech savvy? I don't know. I can't tell you this. As a solopreneur, that's what I like to call it, right? We're solopreneurs as well. You have to be able to do this stuff. You really need to do it. Doesn't matter what age we are, doesn't matter how old we are or how young we are, we've got to be able to do basic things if we're going to run an entire business online. And I don't mean to be like unkind with that, but you really got to get to it. All right, we got to go. We've been on this a long time. Great questions though, John. And by the way, I am the VO guy. I apologize. I know I'm not trying to be insensitive. I just know, like, for me, there's tons of stuff I have no idea. Like, it took me forever to figure out how to stream across all these platforms at one time, right? But it is well worth it. It is well worth the time it's taken me to figure all this out. So it's worth putting in the hard effort, authoritative voiceover course, seriously worth it. It's brilliant. Thanks, John. Thank you. Paul, sounds great. I meant to say Fiverr Learn courses, but that's... Oh, sorry, Paul. Voquent, yes, thank you. Dwight, tech savvy, learn it or outsource it. That's true. Colin's right. You can outsource it as well. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You have a wonderful weekend. Like I said, if you get a chance, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like, share, retweet this. And I'd love for you to check out the Fiverr Elite group. And we are meeting tomorrow morning. So it'd be good to have you. All right, you guys, have a good one. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.